we'll start there.
Okay, well, hello everyone, and welcome back to what is unfamiliar territory. We haven't played Zooming for a little while now, so I'm really looking forward to having a look at what you've produced in the Mo mission, plants, landscapes, and people. Well, it's fairly open, isn't it, as a topic? So let's go straight for it, and we're looking at Brenda number 1, and we have here what she described as purple heaven. Now, I think she's chosen a very interesting stroke line. In fact, I'm seeing 2, a light green, obviously chosen from around about here on the image, and a purple chosen from the petals of this, is it an iris? Is it a flag? Are they the same? I don't know. And yes, it's an adequate capture. Now, I would ask you to think, where is the brightest part of the image? And the answer has to be the background. So really, that's the back front. I'd like the petals of the flower to be the brightest part, it being the subject in mind. However, it's quite a delicious dark purple, but I want a little more structure in it, and I want the background to be a whole lot darker. So maybe putting in some background in behind the flower would have helped. Maybe a piece of black card or grey card, or a brown bed sheet, or I don't know, anything, piece of sacking, and then changing the exposure, because your camera has been set on taking average meter readings rather than the meter reading being made on the flower itself. Nonetheless, it's on the third, it's lit from one side, there is structure in the petals, so I like that, and thank you very much. Homework, go back to it again. Next one is Brendan's number 2, rainy in Wales, rainy Wales. Well, you're telling me it's rainy, but I don't see any rain. I fully believe you, but I'm just not seeing any rain. Maybe a little more emphasis on the raindrops on the leaves, or on the tree, or on the house. So I'd change the title myself, because it doesn't look rainy to me. And I don't need that grey, rather boring sky. You know what I think about boring skies. So I'd get rid of all of that, just crop it off altogether. And then I'm concentrating on these lovely greens. Look, I'm seeing at least 5 different greens. Look at that dark green there. Look at the light green. Look at this entirely different green. Look at this one, another green, and look at the green of the grass. So if we can ignore the top quarter of the image and look at this landscape in Wales, I think we've got something quite pleasant. The subject to me is on the third, that little house there. It's on the third in and the third up, so I like that. Yes, I think you've got potential in that one. I hope you've taken it as a raw image and are able to fiddle around with the brightness of the greens. I'd like to see a little shading, a graduated filter on the bottom of this image to darken down the base. And with your dodge and burn tool, if you know where that is on your machinery, just bring out these highlights in the tops of the trees, just to add 3-dimensionality. So homework, well, there's 2 homeworks on this image. Number 1, find the dodge and burn tool, and number 2 is find the crop tool, so that we can crop that into a panorama, a pano for it. So yes, homework number 3, go back and do it again. Just whiz down to Wales and shoot it again. But thank you for that one. That's lovely. Let's move on to our people. Now, this is interesting. I do like this. Now, one has to ask how much work you have put into this. I rather like what's going on. I love the portrait in the top right-hand corner of these four people gazing off to what is our left-hand side. That's an interesting photo, as is this portrait of these people on the left-hand side. Obviously, something happening. Maybe it's the Queen's funeral procession going by, who knows? And something's happening over here off the screen. So we've got people looking left, we've got people looking left, but then notice, ladies and gentlemen, we've got three dudes down here looking at something even more interesting over here on the right. And that's a super portrait. That part of the three people on the bottom right hand side. So I really am going to give you homework on this, and it's very easy. You just slice it up into the portrait of the people on the left, but I want something happening over here. The portrait of the people on the right, well, they're good. I like those very much indeed. And the separate portrait of these three kids down here, looking at something that's happening. So you've got three cracking good images there. Nonetheless, it only counts as one entry, and as such, it's given us some terrifically interesting parts. So I like that very much indeed. Well done on that one, Brenda. Yeah, I like that. But you've got to break it up. Next one is Diana's plants. Now, this is rather lovely. And you see what I was saying previously to Brenda, that the brightest part of the image here are these echinacea. Is that how you say it? And those petals are the brightest part. Diana has chosen the magic number 3. That's good. I don't know why 3 works, but it does. It makes it a much more complete image. And I particularly like the way that these two go together on the right-hand side, and as it were, frame the position. They give us some information about the environment of this, the subject photo. We've got details showing up in these petals on the shade side, but I fear that we're just beginning to lose detail in the petals on the right-hand side. Nonetheless, look at the background. It's good and dark. It's soft focus. These are all sharp. I like that very much indeed. So terrific image. Good stroke line, narrow, not too bright. Very, very well chosen. So Diana, you're in the short list for that coneflowers echinacea. So thank you for that one. Let's move on to the next one, which is this rather lovely rain across the estuary. Now I know exactly where you were standing to take that, and the squall that you're seeing coming in has made a very interesting sky. And as far as landscapes are concerned, the sky makes it or breaks it. In this case, it really makes it. I like that photo very much indeed. However, look at where the horizon is, straight away across the middle of the photo. And one of the rules of landscape is never, ever, ever have the horizon across the middle of your image. This is rescuable because all of this material down here is irrelevant. And I think that cropping that off entirely would give us a much better image. In fact, I'm going to hold a piece of paper against it. Oh, it's marvelous when I do that. Absolutely marvelous. I love that photo, but you've got to crop off the bottom of the photo. Further, I would suggest even before you crop it off, use a graduated filter on that and darken it down a lot, because once you crop off, you're still going to have a little bit of this light colored burnt grass. But I love that sky. That's great. That's a beautiful part of the scenery here, the cycle track, the trees, the grass, but definitely graduated filter first and then crop just below that pathway. Don't know whether you could fit in above that pathway. I think you're still going to get bits of it. But I like that a lot. Yes, well done. So Diana, Rain Across the Estuary is in the finals to be considered. So love that one. Let's go on to the next one so as not to bore you too long. People, artists at work. I like that. Now, I did a very similar suite of photos in Cambridge. Artists from the university there drawing the market square and what was going on. Composition is superb. On the third, people looking into something. Maybe they're drawing, painting the art, the landscape that you've just shown us. The focus is on these two ladies here, really well chosen, whilst the background is soft and even softer in the distant background. So we have differential focusing, we've got three-dimensionality. I particularly commend to reviewers this fern or reed or whatever it is here. That's so important. If I were to cut that off, it wouldn't be as strong a photo. That's acting as a book stop. And I like that very much indeed. Yeah, terrific. Diana 3, and it's called Artists at Work. Okay. Again, that's in the final selection. So well done, Artists at Work. Well done, Diana. Another good image. Moving on to Fred. Now here we have this passion flower. Beautifully detailed passion flower. Look, ladies and gentlemen, at the depth of focus, the depth of field. These parts of the passion flower blossom are sharp, but those parts are not. So the depth of field, the depth of focus that Fred has achieved is absolutely ideal. It's really, really good. I like that a lot. Fred, passion flower, I like very much. A slight concern is the brightness of the background, but it's not really detracting me very much. I'm not worried about this leaf and this stalk. They are fine, they're part of the flower. I like the fact that this is all soft focus in the background here, and this is very much soft focus in the deep background there. So very well done. Could it have been chopped off, cropped just about there? I think maybe that would avoid me saying that the subject is slap in the middle of the frame, which it is. So by cropping that, Fred, the passion flower itself will appear more to the right, slightly off center. Nothing wrong with off-centered subjects. I just feel it would be better in this case. Nonetheless, cracking good image, and that's in the list of the finalists. Landscape of the cornfield, beautifully taken. Without that tree, it would be nothing. I'm delighted to see that you've got some cloud in that otherwise boring sky. That's the forgiving part. Not sure what that is up there, Fred. It's like a fluff bunny to me. You know what that is, don't you? It's fluff on the camera sensor, which you can get away with. You can paint over that with some of the blue of the sky, and there's another one there. Similarly, we've got a stalk of corn coming up here, which you could have cloned over with some of the existing corn, just to stop it being in our eye. Could we crop that off altogether? Well, we could, but I'd rather like keeping it myself. So good one, Fred. I like that. Got a little bit of homework. Clean your sensor or find out how to clone the blue sky over the fluff bunnies, and similarly the corn over the stalk there. So that's a good one. I like that. Thank you, Fred. Fred number 3, the dog walkers. I take it this is on Canvey Island on Thames, and dog walkers. If you're telling me that the subject is the dog walkers, let's ask ourselves how much of the image is the dog walkers, and it's that little bit there, which is what, 10%, maybe 5% of the image. I think it's much more about can the walkway, there's probably a name for it, the promenade or whatever, and the boardwalk, could it be? I don't know. This is actually part of the sea wall, isn't it? So to me, it's a view, it's a landscape of this boardwalk, this promenade. There happen to be dog walkers there, but I find it difficult to accept the title is as good a title as it might be. As far as the boardwalk is concerned, thank goodness for some decent sky. You've chosen a good sky. I'm a little concerned about that part of what looks like a moored ship, which I'd be inclined to crop off, just because the leading line is from here around to end up at that yellow building there. Is that a cafeteria? I don't know. And I like that leading line aspect of this. That's good. Can't do anything serious about these posts. They can stay in. And I like the shadows that you've got there on the side. Yeah, so a little bit of cropping, a little bit of, we've got another fluff bunny down there, Fred. Can you see it? See what I'm looking at? And you have the obligatory seagull flying around. I know that we're going to get told off for saying seagull, because there's no such thing as a seagull, but it's probably a black-headed gull or a helicopter or something. I'd be inclined to clone something over that, but I do love your sky, and well done on that one. Thank you for that. Let's move on to Caroline's number 1. Reaching for the sky. This is beautifully taken. I like this, Caroline. Showing us the lovely sky that you've chosen to include. I hate blue skies. And you've got these wonderful fluffy bits. You put the camera down low, really good. And you're looking straight up the stalks of these plants, whatever they may be. Are they thistles? I don't know. Are they the onion variety? Don't know. And I love the way that this is bookended. The whole image is bookended by the plants here. I nearly said wheat or corn. I don't know what it is, but it's so very valuable in your image. There may be a little bit of distortion here, barrel distortion, by the very wide angle lens that you're using, and that's fine. I like it because it's bookending these important features in your plant, in your image. Reaching for the sky, I like that, Caroline. That's very good. That's going on to my finals list, and I just got to write it down. Reaching for the sky. Now, that's a goodie. That's a goodie. We'll move on to Caroline's number 2. And my first impression is, crumbs, is that green correct? Colorado landscape. Is that really the color of the grass in Colorado? Well, I'll take your word for it. It just looks like Kodachrome to me. And yet, ladies and gentlemen, look how blue the distant hills are. Ultraviolet light coming in and being recorded, and the colors, you'll notice, become less and less distinct as you go into the photo. I love the position of that tree. You've positioned the tree really well. And I like the leading line of the sinuous river taking us into the distance over there. That's actually taking my eye in across the green of the grassland there into this brighter field over here. I like that. Composition of that is wonderful. Color is a little bit Kodachrome, and I'm wondering whether monochroming it would be worth doing. Give it a try, don't know. Yeah, I like that. There's a little bit of negative vignetting you've employed here from your Jiggery Pokery software, which I like very much. Give it a try, monochrome it, see what happens. Well done, Caroline. People, sorry, no more. People, oh, I see. Sorry, no more. It's the food for the ducks. Got it. I understand. So we have an adequate photo of two ladies pushing their pushchairs with their children, being pursued by hungry ducks. Not sure what that couple are doing there, but they're not important. And I understand the title. Good title. Titles are often the most difficult part, and you've done that rather well. A good sky, congratulations, no plain blue sky, and that's got to be retained. I like that tree. It's bookending the image. The main business part is there, and of course the ducks. However, how could it have been even better? The answer is, I think this was taken from eye level. And had you got your camera down level with the ducks, you'd have got some spectacularly good pictures of the ducks, thin sharp, with the people retreating hastily, quite soft, and the background being even softer. As it is, everything is pretty much sharp, or the same level of sharpness. So a much wider aperture on your camera will give you sharp in the foreground, soft in the midground, and very soft in the background, giving us three-dimensionality. Jolly good title, well done. Homework, two things, go back and do it again, and get down low. I know what you're going to say, getting down's okay, it's the getting back up is the problem. I know. Let's move on. Mags plants thorny flower. This is a lovely, lovely image. And Mags has chosen not to put it slap in the middle. Well done, Mags, I like that. He's further chosen such an aperture that whilst the business part of the cactus here is sharp, the background cacti are not. So we have three-dimensionality. This is a very good example of differential focus. Look how sharp it is in the middle, where the thorns are, where these prickles are. And then it's getting a little bit softer as we reach the edge of the spherical cactus, and quite soft in the background. Very, very good. Good, well-chosen aperture. Wide open, probably in the F4 range, might be even wider than that. It's not plumb central. Jolly good, it doesn't need to be, because this is the interesting part. So our eyes are taken by this brighter section in of the cactus, by these thorns coming out in sixes. I think there are sixes of each of these little centers here. They're all kissing and crossing over here in the center. That's a cracking good image. Well done, Mags. Well worth printing. I like that. And the title, Thorny Flowers. Yeah, okay. Pink flowers, Mags. I hope you'll agree. And yeah, into the finals list. So well done on that. So we move on from that cracking good photo. Oh, you haven't got stroke line, Mags. Oh dear. On a print, you don't need a stroke line. On a projected image or a screen image, you would benefit by a stroke line. just pick a colour, not anything that is contrasting with the image. Maybe you see that orange there, maybe that would go quite nicely as a stroke line. A little bit of homework on that one, but I think it's quite a good image. I can move it around as well. That would make a lovely print, Max. Do please print it. Yep, moving on. The landscape, I take it this is from the railway line looking back to St Mary's Church there. Evening lights, lovely warm evening lights coming in. And I like that very much. There's a little bit of shadow there under the trees, which is helping the three-dimensionality. I like that. I think it would have been even better if you'd waited another half an hour just to lengthen these shadows from the sun coming in from over here somewhere. So fairly low sky. I like the greens, look, ladies and gentlemen, at the greens here as we approach the church. Church on the third, good sky with texture in it. I like that very much. I think we could probably dispense with some of the sky, just keep those clouds in, maybe about that much at the top, and turn it more into a panorama. But I do like that, and I think the homework is to go back, do it again, and get even longer shadows. Well done, mate. I like that. We move on swiftly to the Lady Gardener, and it's a sort of strange world, isn't it, that she's found herself in. We have dead dinosaur bones here, and we have fossilized shells here. Well, I know they're not really, but there we go. And a strange sort of whelk-shaped object there. Who knows what that is? Is it a plant? Is it a bird? It's certainly not a bird. Well, it might be. Maybe that's its maintenance land on the rock. And the Lady Gardener is on the third. Good sky, with a texture in it. Lots and lots of lovely greens. I like those. And some dinosaur bones. Well, I've just heard the magic sound of Jeff Miles' computers.
No, Mo's just had an email.
Ah, Mo's had an email, right. Well, I'll read that later. Thank you very much. Interesting photos, lots going on there. Well done, mates. Thank you for that. Let's move on to Nectar Factory Visitor. And yeah, I like this. So this is Mo's. I like this very much. These petals, you'll notice, are sharp, as are the nectaries here on the blossom of whatever flower this is, and as is the bee. Quite difficult photographing bees because this fur is really difficult to discern the actual, as it were, spikes, but Mo's done that really rather well. You'll notice that he's chosen a focusing point in the nectaries of the flower, which is good, and opened up the aperture so the background is soft and unobtrusive. That's absolutely fine. We include a little bit more. Yes, we can. However, you and I know that this color is really quite a, what can I say, an aggressive color. It looks lovely on the petals, and Mo has chosen that color with which to make the stroke. And I would suggest something a little less aggressive, maybe the green. It's a mid-dark green, the mirror out there. So Mo, I'm seeing where I'm pointing, that's green. And you can see it's darker here and lighter there. And this is the ladies who have a name for it, I guess cerise, or I just call it pink. And that's what you selected for the stroke line. It works, but it's a bit aggressive. And I would have liked one of those darker tones just to make that stroke line. So yeah, I very much like that. And I think Mo, that's into the finishing list, into finishers, or the high up. What have we called it? I can't see. Nectar Factory Visitor. What a complicated title. Nectar Factory Visitor. Okay. Yeah, why didn't you just call it B? Anyway, okay. Good one. Thanks, Mo. And we move if the computer's up to speed to the next. Yes. Number 2, a landscape and the Battle of Vietnam or something. Can't read it too well. And we are seeing here another example of a rather good color fading away into the distance. And you'll notice here, ladies and gentlemen, that we have a good precise green. Down in the valley, the green is somewhat washed out. In the distance, it's very washed out. And in the far distance, it's just turned into ultraviolet blue. So really good example. Now, it's not really very contrasty though, is it? Now, I think that a little bit of experimentation with the slider, the contrast slider, would have helped there. Maybe accentuating the highlights. I'm quite happy with keeping this plaque on its base. It's a bit unfortunate we've got the edge of the wall here, which could have been cloned out. That is to say, clone the screen and paint it into where the wall is, clone these stones and paint them into the wall along there. Be quite careful about that. There's a little bit of a post here. I think I'll get rid of that altogether, either by cropping a small slice from the right hand side or by cloning some tree into there. But I think we're definitely into the position of needing a bit more contrast. It is, after all, very flat, tonally very flat. Okay. So homework, go back and increase the contrast. I'm loving the bridge there. I take it it's a bridge into Wales or out of Bristol.
Well spotted, David. Well spotted. It's a Severn Bridge.
That's the Severn Bridge, is it? Thank you very much. Okay. So is that Welsh Wales on the outside there?
Yes, yes.
That's good. That's good. Very interesting, well composed. I like the retention of this post and its plaque, even though I can't quite read it. I wonder if I can read it if I do that. Oh, yes, here we are. I can read it. Good place in blood. Sorry, I'm not interested in that. Okay, yeah, good one. Thanks, Mo. A little bit of work on that image, and a stroke line would be very pleasant. Maybe choose one of these middle green, middle dark greens from the trees in here, not the wheat of the wheat field, or perhaps you could use the grey of these stones. That would be also, I think, recommended. But yeah, a good image, though. A bit of work to do on it. Let's move on. And we have here Curly King. Where on earth you found him, heaven knows, but you've got him very well captured. Your topic was people, so why not? That's good. Look at the lighting on this, ladies and gentlemen. Look at the shadow here of his calf being cast to the left as we look at it. So the light is over here on the right. It may be a window. It's not a flash photo. I don't think it's a flash photo. I think it's a window light here, which is ideal. A neck curtain on the window will just give us a diffuse light, lighting the right hand side of his face and allowing the roundness of his cheeks and the roundness of his face to be portrayed. Further, we have a very diffuse shadow over here, which is perfect. It's just ideal for portraiture. Really good. In addition, pardon me, in addition to complement that, we just have a little catch light in his eye there. maybe from another window, maybe from another source of light over here. Doesn't matter what it is, but I think it's a super good portrait in the portrait category. So well done on that, Mo. What is I'm a Londoner, maybe. Yes. Fine. I'm just going to write down Londoner. And I think that's so good it will go into the finals list. So well done on that, Mo. Tell me, please, the lighting, Mo. How was this lit? The window on the right-hand side?
It's a window. It's actually in the Salvation Army.
Ah, jolly good.
He was about to go on for the Jubilee celebrations.
Excellent.
And I said, strike a pose. That's all I said, strike a pose. And he did.
And he did it. Right. And the background is what?
The background was added.
Oh, so you cut him out and stuck him on, have you?
Yes, I've taken out the background and put that in.
Very good, very good. Very well done. I like that. And you have shadowed him.
Yes.
You managed to shadow. It's a little bit of advanced shadow manipulation there. How have you done that?
It's in the app.
Oh, it's in the app.
Yes.
Oh, well, it's really done it very, very well indeed. I like that. Super duper. Super. Yeah, good one, Mo. It's on the finals list, so well done. Let's move on. And Suzanne's got this. I have no idea what this is, but I've seen them growing. And I know those buds, those berries turn black, don't they, and grow everywhere. Maybe it's part of Suzanne's garden. And you'll notice that the brightest part of the image is the subject. The rest of the image is background and it's darker. However, we've got one irritating little thing happening there. Don't know what that is. And in addition, we've got a lot of extraneous material here, which could easily be cropped off. So the finishing image would be everything from about there downwards. I'm happy with the stalk coming in. I'm happy with it being that much up from the bottom, but I really need that chopped off and I need that distraction cloned over it. You can find a clone tool and gather some of the information from here and just paint it over that bright highlight there. You might say, well, there's another highlight there. Okay, that's fine. Let's try taking a little bit of this material here and painting it in over that highlight. I'm happy with the focus. That's sharp. The background is out of focus. The positioning to me is good. It's a third of the way in. The focus on the detail of the blossom, the berry head, whatever it's called, is good. It's just all this cluster that needs to be got rid of. But well seen, thanks, Suzanne. Moving on to a landscape. Oh, this is clever. I like this. I like this a lot. And I like it because Suzanne's got a foreground, a midground, and a background. She's got a decent sky with texture in it, and she's got some of these black-headed gulls, some in the puddle, some in the midground, and some in the sky. So they join the midground into the background and up into the sky. That's really well done. So I don't know if Suzanne was there and John had half a loaf of bread that he was throwing into the air, but it's well done, well taken. I think I know where you were. It looks surprisingly like Two Tree Island to me, and I like that very much. So Suzanne, that's a really good image. I think a little bit of writing it down, a little bit of help with the contrast slider would help, just because it's a little bit flat. You know, 3/4 of the image is actually tonally the same. But I like it very much, and I think contrast slider will make all the difference. Don't crop that gull off. I want to keep him. I like this weed, whatever it is, bookending the image. Yeah, there's a lot to commend about that one. And you've only called it landscape. How boring. Couldn't you call it something else? But anyway, yeah, it's a landscape photo as required by Mo, and I like it very much. It's on the highly recommended list. So thank you for that one. People, here we are at some sort of open air concert, and you want it to be about people. But which people do you want it to be about? Is it these three with their trombones, which I suspect you wanted it to be about? Or is it these people listening and watching who are brighter than the subject matter? How on earth could you have overcome that? Well, you could have metered for their faces, and that might have helped. Just using manual and opening up your aperture. It's quite a wide aperture, I'm going to guess, because they are quite soft, and the background here is admirably soft. But the subject matter is dark, and the irrelevant part is brighter. So it's quite difficult. Now, where was the sun? Well, if you look at it, the shadow of this guy's legs, the shadow of this man is going to the left. So you needed to get round here somewhere so that their faces were in some sunlight. So if there were people sitting here that are in your way, well, you just walk in front of them, or you crawl, or you shuffle on your backside round here. It's always difficult taking photos of people playing instruments, because either the music stand or the instrument will be in the way, or the microphone will be in the way of their faces. I know, I've tried it, it's not easy, but well done, well tried, and I like a lot of that photo, thank you. Let's go to Terry's number one, standing tall. It's in the plant category, so plant up here in the title isn't part of the title. We wouldn't mistake it for a landscape or a person, but it could be a triptych. No, it couldn't. It's a particularly fine example of a sunflower. And if you get here quickly enough, mine are now over 8 feet tall. 8 feet, I kid you not. And that's rather lovely. Notice, ladies and gentlemen, that the subject is the brightest part of the image. The background is soft and is darker. The sunflower isn't in the middle exactly, and it's sufficiently off center to be interesting. So I like that a lot. So well done on that, Terry. And again, you're on the finishing list for standing tall. Okay, well done on that one. And we move to the next, which is Terry's landscape. Now, it's all about the title, Trees Through the Wood. That's what Terry wants us to notice, and it is the brightest part of the image. Terry wants the silhouette of these trees to give us some peeking through to the trees in the background. I like that. That's very well seen. At a different aperture, he would have got more detail into the tree trunks, but it's totally unnecessary. At a different aperture again, he would have darkened down this scenery. And to me, this little vignette here, this view through between the trees, is the business part of this image. This one over here is an auto ram, but there's nothing much going on. So I would really like a deer or an antelope or a lion or a rhinoceros or something in there. Don't mind what it is, but at present it's a bit boring, isn't it, if I can say so. But that's interesting. Look at that lovely silhouettes here of these branches. That's a goodie there, so. Now, although it's landscape up here in the title, Mo gave you the title landscape, it doesn't have to be a landscape orientation. It could have been a portrait orientation. So you know what I'm going to say for homework, don't you? Crop it there on the right hand front, there on the left hand front, and give us a landscape in a portrait orientation. if this is a raw image, and I suspect it is, so Terry, you've got lots and lots of latitude of being able to change the brightness of the subject area here. I think you've got a cracking good image, but you haven't got it yet. And you haven't got it yet because we've got this boring bit with no elephants or rhinoceroses or lion here. Do not put an elephant in and then give it back to me and say, there, look. No, I don't want to. I merely jest. You know my sense of humor. Yeah, I think that's the beginning of a very good image. Well done, so moving on to the next one. Up there, if it works. Ah, yes. Work in progress. People doing graffiti. Now, somebody showed me, actually only last night, a picture of graffiti with somebody in front of it, and that's all they were. They were just in front of it. They weren't doing anything. And a bit like a bird on a stick, it doesn't do anything for me. But this does, because here this guy is looking at his telephone. No doubt he's got this image on the telephone, and that's what he's trying to paint. He is actively painting. Very good. On the other hand, this guy's just done his shopping in Tesco's, and there's nothing to do with what's going on. So he needs to be got rid of. So really severe crop there. I like the ladders. I've severely cropped this down. I suggest you put in a graduated filter from the left to the right, making this very dark. So you've just darkened down the rest of this man. Most of them you're going to chop out, I would suggest. Do we need all this down here? Probably not. So let's be bold and have a crop around about here too, giving us an image which is around about like that. I'm quite happy with all of this extraneous painting on the wall. I have no idea what that is. It's like a child's dummy. I want to keep that bright ladder. Yeah, it's a good image. Needs cropping. Well done, Terry. That's carrying 3, and next on my screen has been grayed out. So I take it, Maurice, will you advise me? I take it that's the last from the set.
Yes, yes, it is.
Thank you. And have I missed any?
No.
Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, I will read the finishing images. They are Diana's Rain and Artists at Work, Fred's Passion Flower, you understand me, Caroline's Reach for the Sky, Thorny Flowers by Mag, Mo's Nectar Factory Visitor, why on earth you didn't call it a bee, I do not know, but there you go. Mo's Londoner, that's good. Suzanne's Landscape, and Terry's Standing Tall. So they are the finishing runners, and the winner will be determined by who works on their image satisfactorily for the homework session. So I'm going to look again at just those images once they've been resubmitted, having been homeworked on. If the homework was go back to it again, I fully understand that it's a long way to Welsh Wales. On the other hand, if the homework is crop, clone, darken, dodge and burn, or whatever else I've given you, then I see no excuse, no reason that you shouldn't be able to do the homework and pop it into the homework category. And no, if you are amenable, we'll put it in the homework category, and I'll look again to actually decide the winner, the real winner. At present, we have some very, very strong contenders. So well done, everyone. Well done. And I'm going to stop sharing the screen. And now we can see Mo's finger or his face blocked out. I don't know what he's done there. What have you done, Mo?
Okay.
Yeah, we're all done.
All done. Stop.